So, I mean, thank God he digitized them when he did, you know. But, you know, the other thing that I don't know that people realize is Sean would have to buy tapes. You know, this would air on our local public access, right? So
Right.
northern Twin Cities. But Sean would buy VHS tapes and copy, you know, the show to multiple VHS tapes. That, you know, so that cost him money. Then he would mail those tapes to other public access stations around the country, which also cost him money, you know. And I mean, it's not like, you know, we had any commercials or anything like that, you know, where there was any kind of revenue stream to come back from those shows being watched or anything like that. It was just, you know, Sean saving his money or, you know, mowing lawns or whatever the hell he did to raise funds to buy VHS tapes and ship stuff, you know, across the country to multiple TV stations, just so people would watch us. Like, that was the only, you know, benefit he got out of it was exposure for the league and stuff, which is amazing.
Well, and even nowadays, you know,
15-year-old kid was doing that, or 14, or however old he was at the time. So,
and even now with, you know, the DVDs being for sale now, the T-shirts being for sale, among other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, Sean and I have talked about it, and he's not selling it at a huge profit.
Right. Yeah. No, I can't imagine.
You know, he's selling it to whoever wants it at pretty much cost.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I'm a bigger guy, so I had to buy an extra big shirt, and I think he said that he made like maybe 50 cents off of it when I bought it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's Sean just doing it for the love of the game, you know?
Yep.
I'm glad that glad we got involved with him, and you know, he's been such a good steward of our childhood, you know?
Yep.
It's amazing.
I mean,
plus he's a super talented wrestler. Like, look at how good he is compared to the rest of us, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, it's really.
And, you know, he's overall a great guy. I mean,
yeah, he's fantastic. I mean, you know, I spent a lot of my, you know, even after wrestling, I spent a lot of time just hanging out with Sean. You know, like driving around his car and stuff. And so he was a big influence on, you know, my formative years of being a teenager or whatever. So, yeah, I always thought that Sean was gonna make it. You know what I mean? But. I mean, unfortunately, it was the 80s, and it was all about the big monster guy, you know, and Sean just didn't have that kind of physique, you know. Nowadays, he would have been.
After the incident happened with the ring and the money being stolen, you know, he's admitted to me he kind of lost his passion for a while.
Yeah.
You know, Sean was a wrestler ahead of his time.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, you know, now you see a lot of these wrestlers and they're around Sean's size.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Today, I mean, you know, I forget what they call them middleweight or something.
Light heavyweights.
Yeah. I mean, he would have totally been able to be in it, you know, nowadays. I mean, he's got great mic skills. He's charismatic, unbelievably athletic, super talented at it. Yeah.
Even though he doesn't think he is, you know.
Well, that's bullshit. I mean, he's wrong if that's what he thinks, you know, so.
Dry dock footage, I think.
Yeah. God dang, look at all those people.
And that's the thing.
No, that's not the dry dock, I don't think.
Oh, that might have been the Champlin Legion, our co-event that we had with Ed Sharkey.
That would make sense.
And if that was the Champlin Legion, that was also the one show that WWE Hall of Famer Alundra Blaze was on when she was just entering the business.
Oh, yeah?
She was a valet on Ricky Rice.
Nice.
I know. And Invader number 1. You work on the code. I'll do this. Okay. Yay! Okay.
Terry Block.
From Ireland.
Uh-oh.
One half of Dixie Dave's tag team partner, the Irish Terror.
Oh boy.
You guys did have chemistry together.
This might have been my very first match.
Referee's gonna.
Because if I remember, this is not the only time that you two wrestled.
I don't remember if we wrestled another time. I think we did a tag match together as a team
The Irish Terror
at the Armory, right?
Invader number 1.
I believe so.
Irish Terror just entering the league last week and made his debut. Now he's on his second debut.
Oh, this is my second debut.
Irish whip, spins around, belly first. And he hit the thing. Picks him up. Can we have a slam? Oh, yes. Terry Block, one of the strongest. Oh, nice slam.
That's a good slam. I think the audio is like ahead of the video. Is that what's going on?
One, you mean? And he's
Either
Just
that
a little
or
bit.
Sean's really good at calling the match.
Oh,
Yep.
shot. Could that be the
That was good.
face first?
Yep.
Terry's got some skills, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, Terry was a good worker.
And
Oh, Jesus.
the Irish Terror.
As I remember, you had your boots before you entered the league.
Did I? I don't know. I think my boots were white with a little bit of black on. I think I'm just wearing shoes. I'm wearing I'm wearing kung fu tabby boots.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the ones with where the one toe is cut out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Week, I think it was. Whoa, he got up in the air to the top.
But I thought I remembered when we used to hang out, you had a pair of boots.
Invader number 1 going to number 2. Whoa,
Yeah, I
sledge
don't.
on the head.
Must have been
Picks him up,
after.
wants to dish out a little bit more. Oh, what's he going?
Well,
Looks
we were
like a
wrestling for a little
suplex.
while, I
No?
think.
No.
Yep.
Neck
Yeah,
breaker,
not
spinning
suplex,
neck breaker on
There we go.
Irish
That's a little
Terror.
gnarly.
They were kind of Tully Blanchard
What's he gonna do?
inspired.
Irish whip.
Right.
Back body drop. You got about 10 feet in the air on that back body drop. Irish Terror. God damn, I have no.
That's my cousin Loshi over there.
Oh yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Master Control Center.
Oh, Master Control breaking in again.
Pro Wrestling Spectacular at the Anoka Armory Friday, March.
Well, we had to let people know about our shows coming up.
Yeah. Am I wearing a Speedo on top of sweatpants? Is that what's happening?
And also a special announcement about
Kind of looks like it. Oh yeah, no, I'm wearing. Yeah, I'm definitely wearing some kind of trunks on top of
from the wrestling ring.
sweatpants. Good lord.
The NWA is preparing for their Pro Wrestling Spectacular.
Well, I'll wait to admit to it off air, but I'll admit to you later what my gear was.
Okay.
Ticket prices have been made, and this will be a special match, a special card. For more additional information on this particular card,
I swore Crusher to secrecy when we were kids.
and you'll get some additional information if you simply watch the channel long enough. And also,
But hey, you got to admit, it looked pretty good in the ring.
It looked great. I didn't notice anything weird about it, so.
The Rock'n'Roll Express, the Unknown Studs, all of them will be there. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, Terry's got some moves, man.
Oh yeah.
Going for a body slam. Oh, he slams him almost through the
I
mat.
should have helped him out a little more on that one. And stayed down. Come on, Jamie.
Oh, flying body press.
It's kind of fun to look back now with more knowledge.
Ring the bell. Your winner.
Yeah, right.
Invader number 1.
Well, you know, the funny thing
Losing
about.
his 6th match in a row, still winless. The
Still
Irish
winless.
Terror.
I need a t-shirt that says still winless
Moving
on it.
back right after this. With
If I can make an admission to you, Jamie,
and many more.
Yeah,
We'll
what's
be
that?
a buddy of mine,
Oops.
Mr. The Nick Dumas here. Ooh, and Steenerson
recently was
started
telling
right
me
away in
that
on
he,
Crossan with the
when we were in
stomps to the
school,
back of the ribs.
there was a
And
girl
the
there that he had a
splash. Steenerson gets
major
it
league
across
thing
the
for.
splash. Oh,
Yeah.
Crossan gets away from that pin.
And lo and behold, it was your cousin.
Crossan's just getting out the jacket. Oh, he gets
I think a
pinned
lot
up
of dudes had a
from
crush on
behind
my
by
cousin.
Steenerson. Steiner is choking him.
Yeah, good looking
The
kid.
ref breaks it up.
Oh yeah.
Crossan
Yes, I
Very
remember she
nice.
was a real
is back
sweetheart
on the
too.
mat.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Steenerson.
Yeah, she was super nice.
Is having a few words with the ref.
Good
Crossan is
looking
finally
girl
getting
in
his
our
jacket
class,
off.
you know? I mean,
Steenerson attacks him from behind. Oh, and it's
she's
a
my cousin,
rake
so
across
whatever,
the
but I,
eyes.
you know,
Oh,
I
and
get
there's
it,
a
I guess.
chokehold, it looks like, but it's a
So.
front face lock. He's choking him.
So
Here
we're
we have
seeing,
Pearson and Crusher crossing.
we're seeing Crusher and Steenerson before their fight.
No slam, no belt match.
No slam, no belt match.
Yep.
That's pretty interesting. I wonder, did Sean think of that? Like, because I don't know that I've ever seen that type of match before. You know what I mean?
It was based off of, as I remember, it was based off the Andre the Giant Big John Studd match at WrestleMania 1.
Okay. Was that? But there was no belt involved in that, right?
No. With that, it was John Studd put up allegedly $10,000
Right.
to whoever could body slam.
That's right.
And they're talking in the corner, and it's an Irish whip into the corner, and Crossan goes flying in. And it's a hit from behind. Crossan is down on his back.
I'm wondering if we'll see the Pearson flop.
Maybe.
And he's picking him up.
The bump that he became famous for.
Yeah, I always remember, you know, in my mind's eye, Troy was like a monster, like he was huge. But you know, looking at him now, he just looks like a regular dude. So I don't know if I was just that much smaller, and that's why he seemed so, you know, seemed like a brick shit house, you know.
Knocks him back a couple steps, but and that's a punch. Oh, he's hurt his hand on that one.
Like Sean and I have talked about, Troy was one hell of a river.
Yeah, he was. Good Lord. That's why he's such a great heel, you know?
Crossan falls down with the arm across the chest.
You know, I mean, even away from the ring.
Yeah.
He, a few years after the NWF, he and I reconnected for a couple years, and
yeah,
I remember
a good ball buster, and you know.
Oh yeah, and it didn't matter who you were.
Right, yeah. And funny as hell, man.
Oh yeah,
hilarious, dude. Yeah.
A little bit of a low blow there by Crusher. I'm gonna have to talk to Crusher about that shot. Looked a little solar plexus.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he was teammates with Kelsey, and Kelsey did all kinds of dirty shit against you. So maybe those guys are actually the heels.
Oh, and a punch to the face, and Steenerson's going down.
I love Sean trying to stop him from falling.
And it's an elbow to the chest by Crossan. Oh, what's this? He looks like he's going for the figure four.
Yep.
And what is this? Some new.
I have no idea what this is.
Oh, and Steenerson is in pain. Oh, you can hear him.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, elbows to the back. Pull the hair. Steenerson pulled the hair.
Kelsey.
That's
dirty. Look at that.
To his side. But Crossan tries to body slam him. Doesn't work. Macho pulls Crossan outside.
He's got to figure out how to slam him, or otherwise he's going to lose his belt at the Armor Show.
Exactly. And they figured it out.
Oh, and there's a brawl going on between managers here. Inside the ring. Oh, head scissors. Oh no.
and it's the head scissors on Steenerson by Crossan. And he's breaking out. Oh, you let go. Crossan's got a hold of his arm. Oh, and a punch to the midsection.
So any questions from our crowd?
And a hip toss. Oh, you could hear that one over here. Crossan back.
We have a bunch of people here, so we're open to your questions.
Chokehold. Definitely a chokehold on Crossan. Steenerson is doing. So.
You know, that's one thing about
And Crossan.
Steenerson and Crusher. They had really good chemistry.
Yeah, great chemistry.
Does he get it?
Here we go.
Nope. Slips out.
Okay, Gizmo, to answer your question, I first met Crusher Crossan May 9th, 1986 at the Armory Show. And I told him I wanted to be part of the league, and the rest is history.
I don't know.
And I first saw Sean and all you guys on public access. And then went to the Brooklyn Park Armory card.
Yep.
And jumped in the ring when
now he gets the message.
it was Luscious Larry and
Pretty Boy, I think.
Pretty Boy Taylor were wrestling.
Yep.
And decided, and you know, and at the time I guess I didn't realize wrestling wasn't real or whatever, but yeah, I decided, like my grandmother had brought me to the match.
Yep.
And she was getting real upset with Pretty Boy Taylor, and I decided to jump in the ring and kick him in the back. And then after the event, you know, after the matches were over, because that was the, you know, main event.
Yep.
As I was leaving, Sean was like, "Hey, come here." You were the kid that jumped in the ring. I was like, "Yeah," and he yelled at me about it, and then was like, "You want to be a wrestler?" I was like, "Sure." And yeah, I think that's how it started, right? So,
Glad and I had told you about the NWF too in school.
Yeah, I don't recall that, but I don't know. Maybe you know, it's entirely possible that happened, and I just, you know, I remember the other story as being a funny story, so that's what I've told over the years, and so now that's what I remember as being the
that, and you know, a lot of personal stuff going on at that point.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that.
Hey, Dixie Day's back.
Yep.
In the ring, Dave Dixon.
Thunder the Barbarian.
And now coming to the ring area.
All right.
Why are they not calling you Dixie Dave?
Because I was trying to get away from the Dixie Dave gimmick.
As the match
Oh, gotcha.
The back slap. They just what? And they're rolling more for the pin.
No, Crusher was actually very friendly
Yeah.
with the company, and anybody who wanted to give it a try, he was willing to let him try.
Yeah.
And some elbows across the back.
I mean, I think we needed wrestlers, you know?
Yep.
And so people that want to volunteer their time and, you know,
You know, we'd actually...
Does he get him up? Gets him up. Does he get him? And he slams him. Oh, with the
There we go.
power slam. Picks
Oh, yeah,
him
you
up.
got boots on.
Yep.
And
You know, they sure look a lot like Dr. Dredd's boots, don't they?
Gets him up against the ropes and throws him across the ring.
Oh.
Taylor falls down.
I take a powder.
Outside the ring.
Thundar's like, no, you don't.
Into the ring.
Is he wearing makeup? I can't remember.
One, two.
It wouldn't surprise me.
It looks like he's got
Barbarians were
something on
known
his
for
eye.
wearing makeup.
And Thundar's got a hold of him against the ropes. Throws them into the ropes. Dave comes bouncing off, and what
Ooh.
a clothesline by Thundar the Barber.
That looked a little stiff.
He literally jumped at him.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a leg drop across the knee. Thundar is hurting. He's up though. And Dave is on his back. Thundar picks up Dave. And he's got him against
Now
the
watch
ropes
the
again.
finish of this
Throws
match.
him against the ropes.
All right.
Dave hits the ropes, and it's a drop kick. Dave is down. Thundar, I don't know why he doesn't pin him, but picks him up again.
Man, we were just tackling dummies, weren't we?
Yep. Now watch this finish.
Oh, this
him up.
is scary.
He's got him up, and what a pile
Okay.
driver by Thundar. Pulls him to the center of the ring.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they do have a
Flat
DD
his
on the
back,
boots.
and it's the
Yep.
Yeah, pile drivers are
across the
scary,
chest.
man.
Thundar.
Not necessarily having them done, but just knowing, like,
Two,
if it goes sideways, man.
As Thundar hits
As we
the
saw a
ring.
week or two ago. I'm still selling the.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Stay down.
I was still selling right up to the end. Hey, I main evented the show.
Hey, main event. Yeah, look at you. Did you? I think you opened the show and closed the show. Oh wait, did you open the show? I don't remember. It was
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
early
It was
on.
the opener. Might have been the second or third match, but
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
you know, it was always fun to be on the show. And when we were short wrestlers, it was always fun just to be able to get in the ring more than once.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
All right. And we have another question, I believe.
You want to take that one?
I only had one instance where I was treated differently. And
how
that's
were you treated?
it was an instance where a Golden Gloves boxer found out that I was a wrestling fan, and we had words in the lunchroom at the middle school, and it got physical. And
Really?
oh yeah,
Wow.
he followed me to my classroom and caught me with a sucker punch.
Of course.
I retaliated in the wrestling manner. I grabbed the first thing available to me,
Yeah.
which was my 8th grade social book. And I busted that thing in half over his head.
Nice.
He went staggering out of the room, and a girl tried grabbing my arm, and I went to go chasing after him, and teacher blocked me.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't, you know, as much as I wish it was like, hey, people found out you were a wrestler and you were on cable and you were cool, you know, like that's not what happened.
No, we were.
Yeah, I mean, we were just treated like dorks, you know,
Yep.
and, you know, because we weren't jocks. You know, because if you think about it, you know, wrestling, professional wrestling, although there's an athletic component to it, you know, professional wrestling is like a soap opera for dudes. You know, it's a story for guys, you know, with athleticism tied in. And so, you know, obviously we don't fit in with the baseball players or the football players or whatever, you know, so.
Exactly.
And
we don't fit in with the drama class because we're
right,
too
yeah.
athletic for them.
Right. Yeah. So it's like this weird space in between. So, but I mean, I think that the people, I didn't really have any friends in school. And so I don't know that anybody really knew. I mean, people knew I was into wrestling, but they didn't, you know, because I draw like WWF logos or whatever, but I, you know, I wasn't like, hey, I'm, you know, a wrestler or whatever. So yeah, I think it was met with, if anybody did find out, it was ambivalence. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of guys were like, big deal,
right?
You know, public access, big deal,
Right.
But now here we are, 30 years later, all over the internet.
Yeah, right.
And where are they with their sporting careers?
Exactly. Yeah, just in the yearbook, a dusty yearbook somewhere. That's probably about it. So.
Yep. And as far as you saying you didn't have any friends, we were in the same grade. We hung out.
We went to the same school? God,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Coon Rapids Middle School.
It was Coon Rapids Junior High, right?
Yep. At the time, it was junior high. Now it's middle school.
Okay. Right.
So.
Yeah, I know I left in the middle of 7th grade.
Yep.
To move in with my dad. So was it just like that first half of 7th grade that we went to school together?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't go to Hamilton Elementary, did you?
Nope. I was over at Mississippi.
Okay. So we went to school for about 6 months together.
Yep.
It's so funny. I'm super good at remembering things. And then there's other things that I just like, I feel like there's whole sections of my life that are just like gone,
Well, it's sometimes you like to block away the bad experiences and lock them away in a vault in your memory.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like if you were to ask me who any of my teachers' names were in middle school or even through high school, I have no clue. I don't know if I just hit my head too many times, but I try to think back on like what my classes were. I have no recollection of just going to school. I have zero recollection of it. So
yeah,
it's really weird.
We have another question here. I actually have to admit, Terry Block in our match, October 18th, 1986, there was a botched power slam. And
oh, really?
He got some bruised ribs.
Oh, he did?
Yep, he did.
Was it your fault or was it his or both?
I'm not sure if it was him shifting weight or something, threw us off balance or what, but we got off balance. And
yeah, rib injuries are no fun because it's, there's nothing that anybody can do for you. And every time you breathe, which is multiple times a minute, it's
exactly
just fucking painful. So yeah, rib injuries are terrible. I never got hurt in the NWF. I believe before I joined the NWF, I was wrestling with my cousin and I pile drived him and I hurt his neck. So
yeah, I mean the pile driver.
But ultimately he was fine. But that was a little scary, and I still feel bad about it. So
right. I mean, the pile driver is no joke.
Yeah. Yeah, whenever you're fucking with somebody's neck, boy, that's end up in a lifetime of a wheelchair or worse. So.
Well, actually, the person who I had Gary talk to is my girlfriend that I have now.
Yeah.
And a month and a half ago, she broke 3 vertebrae in her neck. So.
Ooh.
But she's
what's the prognosis? Do you know, or is it too soon to?
Well, the accident was a month and a half ago, but she's up walking around. She can walk.
That's good.
So, but as I said, there was a day not too long ago where she was feeling down, and
yeah,
I don't know if you remember the history. Gary had suffered a neck injury, and
no, I don't remember, unfortunately.
Well, he was swimming over at the clay hole, and as I remember, he broke his neck. And
oh, wow.
So I had him talk to my girlfriend. So
yeah,
she knew that there's life after the injury.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. A friend of mine from the BMX days, he was coming up and going to be turning pro, and was at a skate park, was jumping. The forks broke off his bike and he hit his face and broke his neck. And he's paralyzed from chest down. And, sweetest kid in the world. And after that, I went and saw him in the hospital, and he was in the thing where he's face down. You have to talk to him through the mirror, and they have the screws in his head. And that was gnarly. And seriously, like the sweetest, like I know so many fucking assholes that this, like, hey, yeah, take those guys. You know what I mean? Don't take Jeff, and this happened to Jeff. I mean, it's such a bright future with BMX, and, was young, was like 19 or 20 when this happened. And it was terrible. But Jeff, man, he's ended up being like a wildlife photographer. He has this, a vehicle, like a vehicle that he can drive, and got like a bunch of crazy cameras with like super telephoto lenses. And he goes out into the wilderness and, sets up, like, I think he sits in the vehicle and uses the telephoto lenses and takes like these amazing photos. And he does all these like nature, like calendars of with all his nature shots in it and stuff, And so, I mean, talk about making lemonade out of fucking lemons. Like, he can just only use his arms, and he just figured out something he was interested in and excelled at it and loves doing it and seems like super happy, and doesn't, I mean, I'm sure that he had to, it was a struggle to get to that point, but he dug down deep and figured out something that makes him happy and excelled at it, and is living his life as full as he can. And, seems like he's super happy, which makes me super happy. So
exactly.
There's always life after. It's just, life is hard for everyone. It's just, it's going to be harder, for you.
Life is what you make of it.
Sort of thing happens. Yeah. So,
and
it's not fair. Life is totally not fair. I have a lot of friends who passed away, and, friends that were in way better shape than me that died from cancer 10 years ago. And it's like, I smoke 2 packs a day and eat pizza and ice cream, and, you're in good shape. And next thing you know, you have cancer and you pass away. Like, how the fuck is that fair?
Exactly.
So yeah, life is not fair, unfortunately.
But you got to make the best of what you have.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I don't know if there's any point to being on this earth, but I think in all of my years, the only thing that I've been able to figure out that the point of life is to enjoy it.
Exactly.
And so you just got to do what you can to be happy and to enjoy life. So anyways, boy, that got deep.
Okay. What is your best and worst memory of the NWF? Would you do it over again? What things would you change if you could? I'll let you start this out, Jamie.
I best and worst memory, kind of every match, so it's amazing walking out to the ring, having your music play, getting up there. And I don't want to say, matches are the worst memory, but it's also at this, on the one hand, it's super exciting. And on the other hand, it's fucking terrifying. Right.
Yeah.
Cause like, I mean, it's literally improv, right? The matches aren't, what we're going to do isn't planned out. There's hundreds of people watching you. You're 12, right? And you're working with another 12-year-old trying to fucking improv physically. Like, it's insane. And it's,
that first match at the Armory is torture in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and it's crazy how fast you get like winded, and there are some scary like getting like a German suplex is pretty scary because you're going over backwards blind. You can't see where you're gonna land and all that stuff. So there are some scary things. I don't know that those are bad memories necessarily, but it's scary and nerve-wracking, but also exciting and exhilarating. Once your match is done and you're in the back and you realize like, oh, I had a good match. You can't wait to get out and do it again.
Exactly.
You're like, fucking A, this is the best thing ever. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
what? My
main thing I always say is, wrestling is a drug.
Yeah.
You get out there, you get in front of that crowd, you get that high of the feedback from the crowd.
Right. Yeah.
And you're always chasing that high.
Yeah. I would definitely do it again. If I went back in time, there are some things I would change. If I could change them,
right.
I don't know that, I don't know that if people don't, I would think people might not realize this, but we didn't get really any training. Nobody really taught us the moves. Sean did a bit, but we didn't have it's not like I had a ring in my backyard to run ropes and you know what I mean? Learn how to jump off the top rope. The only time I was jumping off the top rope was in a fucking match, right? Right. The only time I'm getting practice, ramming my head into a turnbuckle is during a match because we didn't have a ring time, and
exactly.
I don't know that, I would like to think I could go back in time and change that. So we had a place where we could practice and get better and put on a better performance. I wish I could do that, but I don't. I think if I had a time machine, I'd just still be a poor kid in Coon Rapids, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be able to change that at all. But yeah, that's the one thing I would like to change. I don't know, even if I have a time machine, that it would be feasible. So, yeah. What about you, Dave?
Obviously, one of my favorite moments was October 18th, 1986, the day Rattlesnake Jake and I won the national tag titles.
Yeah, nice.
You
have that belt back there, right?
Yep. Right here.
There it is. Very cool.
And I would have to say one of the worst points of it, I hate to say, was a couple months later at Brooklyn Park.
Is that where you lost him?
Yeah, we lost him there. And it's not the fact that we lost him. That has nothing to do with it. It was just Pretty Boy was being real stiff. I mean, if you go back and watch, go back and watch, you'll see Pretty Boy was being stiff and he wasn't given anything.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder how much of that is, due to, just the older dudes, just hazing the younger kids. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So.
But I mean, would I go back and do it again? Without a doubt.
Yeah. And
one thing I would change, I would have stuck with it more. I would have been at that March 20th show.
Yeah.
I
don't know, man. I would have really liked to seen that NWA show. But yeah, the March 20th show is, that was a good one.
Do we have any other questions from the crowd?
Nobody wants to know Dave's favorite color?
Well, I think that was kind of an obvious one. How was Crusher treated at school, being he was the head of the NWF? That is a question. See, Crusher went to a different school than Jamie and I did.
Yeah. You went to Anoka.
So that is a question that you'll have to ask next week As I remember him talking about, he was kind of the quiet guy in school.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, as boisterous and everything that he is in the ring, he was actually kind of quiet. He said he remembers.
I would not imagine that.
He said he remembers people talking about matches that he had with him sitting right behind them.
Really?
And them not even realizing that that was him in the ring.
Wow, that's wild.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have thought, you know, my experience with Sean was him, you know, as the head of the league and as the champion, full of confidence and skill and talent. You know, not that he was boisterous like in an obnoxious way, but I would have thought he would have been the king of the fucking school. You know, I mean, to me, he was like the coolest guy in the world. Why would everybody in his school not think he's the coolest guy in the world? You know what I mean? So, and yeah, I know there was like a big photo of him in the newspaper and stuff like that. Like, so, yep. I mean, I guess I would have thought, you know, he would have had all the confidence in the world and been talking to all the girls and, you know, so I guess it's, maybe that's, you know, not what happened, but in my idea of, yes, in my mind's eye, that was Sean, just getting all the ladies and everybody wanting to be Sean, you know, so.
Yep.
I'll continue to believe that no matter what he says.
You know, I mean, let's see. We have a question here for you, Jamie.
Uh-oh. Oh, you know, when I say haze, I think that word has a negative connotation to it, like, you know, college hazing where they do shitty things to pledges or in the military. That, you know, that is not what happened at all. You know, it was never
malicious hazing. It was,
yeah, no, it was just like, you know, it was just older kids busting the balls of the younger kids. You know, it was never physically abusive, you know, other than us wrestling or whatever, or, you know, just, you know, younger kids are dorkier than older kids. Older kids are cooler, you know what I mean? And so, you know, we would probably say stupid stuff or ask stupid questions, you know, and the older boys would be like, what the fuck? You know? So, yeah. So when I say the word hazing, I definitely don't want people to think that we were hazed in the, you know, in the sense that like college pledges where they make them drink so much beer, they die, or, you know, it was never anything like that, nor was it ever negative. It was just younger, you know, we were the annoying younger kids, you know, and they were the cooler older kids and we were dorky. So
and,
yeah.
You know, the only other hazing that I can really think of is like your first match, you're really not told anything. You're just told you're wrestling so-and-so. This is
right.
And
okay,
Gizmo. This has been an ongoing thing.
I have some dirt on Sean.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I will.
You're going to give me the floor on this one?
Yep.
So after, you know, I was a total mark for Sean, right? Like,
yep.
You know, I mean, shit, I went out and bought a singlet, the exact same one he had. And if you watch our match at the dry dock, we're wearing the same fucking singlet, right? Like, that's how much I looked up to Sean. And, you know, I was probably 12 or 13. I was probably 13 or something. I think Sean was 16, you know, which, you know, when you think about it, in years, like as a 40-year-old to a 43-year-old or whatever, like there's no difference, but you know, between a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old, there's a big difference. Just maturity wise, you know.
Right.
Anyway, so you know, Sean got a car and he could drive, and I don't remember what we do, but we like go to Steenerson's house and stuff like that. Like, you pick me up and whatnot. And Sean, how do I want to put this? So I really looked up to Sean, but Sean smoked.
Yep.
And although I didn't start smoking when I was hanging out with Sean, that was a big, that what to me was like, oh, that's what cool guys do is they smoke. And so I think when I was probably 15, I was riding BMX, I had another like older kind of mentor who also smoked, and that's when I started smoking. And so my dirt on Sean is I think he made me think it was cool to smoke, and I started smoking. So, and then I had a heart attack. And then I had a heart attack at 42. So that's all Sean's fault.
But yeah, like I said before, Gizmo, there's really no dirt on Crusher. I mean, he was a nice guy.
Yeah.
And he put up with a lot of crap from us guys.
Yeah.
I
mean, he built this amazing thing for us and, did it out of the goodness of his heart, never, fiscally benefited from it, just volunteered all his time and effort and, wrangled all his kids and just
kept us all
I owe so much to that dude. So,
the one thing I'm surprised that you didn't bring up as dirt on Sean.
I'm trying to think of. I'm literally trying to think of dirt on Sean, and I'm like excited to hear what you think. I'm forgetting.
The night Crusher got treated like a heel and got booed.
Oh yeah. I think we talked about that on the episode. I think it was the last episode I was on. Him and I had a match at the dry dock. And when I came out, I don't think the people at the dry dock, there is always a story to tell, right? And unless you're watching the show on public access, you're not seeing you don't know what the story is a lot of times.
Right.
And so when I came out, I think I was running the ropes and I fell through the ropes and I got stuck upside down, hanging outside the ring by the ropes. And Rick Pitts, our wonderful referee, who if I'm not mistaken was drunk off his ass, reached down and like pulled me up, like I think by like the back of my pants or something. It was like so emasculating, right? And I think I won the crowd over when that happened because I just looked like this stupid little kid, that everybody felt sorry for. So then when Crusher came out, so they decided I was the baby face. And so then when Crusher came out, he was they treated him like the heel. So they booed him, which I think kind of rocked his core because that was very unexpected for, to Sean. So.
And I've heard the stories after the match back in the locker room. You were like, you got booed.
Probably. I probably gloated on that. That sounds like something I would do.
Okay, so looks like we have another question. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Gizmo, but there's really no dirt on Crusher. He's not here. He's not watching right now. He gave us free reign to say what we wanted.
Sports Talk 117 says, who's Crusher's biggest nemesis and who was his favorite wrestler during the time you were in the company, and who was yours?
Okay, with Crusher, back in the 80s, one of his favorite wrestlers was Hulk Hogan, as he stated. And it kind of broke Sean's heart when Hulk Hogan left AWA and went to WWF.
Yeah.
As far as his biggest nemesis, to my memory,
Stevenson, right?
No, to my memory, him and Pretty Boy and Pretty Boy's
yes,
entities,
yeah,
had multiple matches and feuded over the title.
A lot of great matches. Yeah,
I mean their strap match that they had.
Oh wow.
Their Broadways that they'd have, Pretty Boy and Crusher was kind of the Dusty Rhodes Ric Flair of our company.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
At least in my eyes.
Back and forth. Yeah. No, the back and forth, that totally makes sense.
No, I turn the floor over to you, Jamie, for
favorite wrestler. Boy, I gotta say, it's changed over the years. I think when I first got into wrestling, Hulk Hogan was, that's a lot of people's entrance ticket into pro wrestling in the 80s.
Yep.
But I really, after watching WWF for a while, it started to get a little hokey to me, like Coco Beware with the fucking bird, and it's just like Jesus. I really got into NWA, and in NWA, the Road Warriors, man.
That almost surprises me.
And they weren't even that great of wrestlers. I mean, they would come out to Iron Man by Black Sabbath, haul ass in the ring, and just squash the fuck out of dudes.
See, I thought
it was pretty amazing.
I thought you were going to go more this direction.
Yeah, no, I've definitely in my old age, I mean, nowadays, if you ask who my favorite wrestler is, it's Arn Anderson, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, back then, I kind of was like, these guys are bad guys, they were so good at it, and then as an adult, you're like, oh, they were so good at that. You realize that
exactly.
It takes a great heel to put over the baby faces, right? And those guys put over everybody, and that takes a lot of talent. And it, Arn's way of his interview style and how quick he is on his feet, was, because all that shit's ad-libbed, is amazing. And then his ability to put people over, his ability, when I say his, I mean also the rest of the Four Horsemen too, Flair and Tully and Ole, to just make the blood boil of the audience, the way they're just dirty fucking heels, they're pinning people and they're using leverage from the ropes, or they're, rolling out of the ring, or, hitting people with the
foreign object,
like you're just like, oh, and then, because you want the baby faces to win, they're the tag champs or whatever, and you want them to win, but then those dastardly bastards figured out a way to hang on to the titles and screw over, and then they beat up Dusty in the alley and break his arm, or, break his leg, or whatever the fuck the thing was, like that is
whatever the gimmick of the week was.
Yeah, they were so good at it, and so now as an adult, or when I started turning into an adult, when I realized that about the Four Horsemen, or just heels in general, it gave me a whole new appreciation and a whole new outlook on wrestling that I'd never had before, because to me as a kid, you're like, oh, USA, good versus evil, I want the, root for the good guys. And then as an adult, when you're a little more jaded and you've lived a little more life, you kind of understand the Joker, or the darker side of things. And then when you realize how hard that job is and what a good job they did, people wouldn't love the Rock and Roll Express as much as they did if it hadn't been for, totally beating the shit out of those guys, so.
And one of my favorites is even Crusher's going to be like, oh, wow. But, looking back on things, I always say Shawn Michaels is one of my favorites, just his work rate, his workability.
Yeah.
But Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah, he was a great heel. It's funny, you say Shawn Michaels, I kind of dropped out of wrestling in the 90s, so I don't know much about it. But Shawn Michaels was such a good heel that even as an adult who knows there's no monster in the closet and there's no boogeyman, I still fucking hate him, right? Like, I still think that guy's a dick, right?
Yep.
I have no idea if he's actually a dick or not, but my perception of him is he's such a dick. And that may just be, he just may be a great fucking heel. So much so that even though I know it's not, it's still real to me, damn it, right?
Yeah.
Even though I know that he's playing a part, I still think fuck that guy, right? Like that's pretty amazing.
Well, I've always heard back in the 90s he could be a real douchebag, but
right, yeah.
I've heard now that he's
definitely seems like
I've heard now he's turned his life around and he's a really great guy to be around.
Yeah.
Okay, we got another comment. Did Shawn ever lose it for real and go off on another wrestler?
No. Not that
I don't remember any incidents of that. I know the closest thing I can think of is him and Thandar. They had a bit of a.
I don't think I know that story. Wait, maybe I don't think I know that story.
They've had a few matches where, things didn't go. There was battles of egos.
Was that the match where they were actually wrestling for the title?
I'm not sure if it was for a title. I'll have to ask Crusher about it next week. But I know that there was some heat, and they both had egos, and they've since reconciled over it.
Yeah, I think I remember him because for a little while they tried to like actually fight, right?
Yeah.
And I know there was a title match with that. He had a title match during that time, and he told me, he's like, yeah, I let him win. Right. And it was like during the actual, the time when they decided, okay, let's try to really fight, which is a disaster, like real fights just end up on the ground and it's not that entertaining, so unless it's on World Star, but
yeah, Shawn was a real easy person to work with. There was times, Crusher Crossan would come out, but
I can't remember a time, for myself, I can't remember a time where, you would think like, say somebody, gets a little stiff with you and hits you a little too real, you may want to retaliate. I don't remember that ever happening to me, where somebody like got a little too rough and I was like, you know what, fuck you, I'm going to hit you back, like that. That never happened to me. You were saying that Taylor got stiff with you, but I don't know. Did you give him any receipts?
Didn't really get a chance too much.
I mean, you were pretty little, but you probably could have punched him right in the nuts if you really wanted to, So I don't think any of us had.
It might have crossed my mind, but I was so into working the match that,
right.
I didn't want to make things go sideways.
Yeah. And that's pretty amazing if you think about it. Like, you think about teenage boys and, most of the fights I've ever seen were, in elementary and middle school, and we were all that age, and none of that shit ever turned into a real fight, as far as I know. So it's pretty amazing that none of us, we're like, fuck you.
Well,
something real,
there was times, now that I think about it, there was times where, Ice Dragon that we've talked about. I don't know if you remember him.
Oh yeah, no, we used to hang. He lived down the street from me, so we hung out a bunch.
But there was times where, his ego would get the best of him, and he would not back down from people.
Chris, yeah, I can see
Crusher and I discussed that not too long ago.
Yeah, I can see that.
Now Chris owns his own pizza joint.
Really? I saw he was managing IHOP when I saw him, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago in Minnesota. So
no, now he
that's good. That's great.
Anybody that ever makes it to Maplewood Mall.
Yeah.
If you go to Pizza Slice there, very good chance.
Is it named like Ice Dragon Pizza or anything awesome like that?
Nope, it's called Pizza Slice.
Does he have like a dragon pizza or anything named after his wrestling character?
Nope. Nope. There's no ties.
You're blowing it, Chris. You need to name some stuff after your wrestling. You and your brother. What was his brother's wrestling name? I can't remember.
I believe Jay was the Fly.
Yeah, you probably don't want to have the Fly pizza. So yeah, all right.
But yeah, I mean, hell of a nice guy. Crusher told me about his pizza joint, and been there a couple times now.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and so you've seen him there.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
nice guy. Back in the NWF, like I said, he could be a bit abrasive, and now he's real chill, real mellow.
Yeah, I think
funny thing is, I walked in there, walked up, and I was like, you own the joint, huh? Not identifying who I was or anything.
Right, yeah.
He goes, hey, Dave, how's it going?
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, you did tell me that him and a bunch of guys, I thought from the NWF went and saw a WWE show.
Yep.
I don't know, 15 years ago or something. So wasn't sure if maybe you were part of that crew or not. But
nope. At that point, I was out in South Dakota still.
Oh, right. I do have a good story about Chris, who the Ice Dragon. I know. I think I told you and Sean about this after hours on my first episode that I was in, but I don't know that I told it publicly. So back then, Chris had gotten his license, and I was probably 14 or something. Chris was 16, and we used to. This is all Chris's idea, by the way. We used to go to car dealerships, and he would say, hey, I want to test drive this car. And the deal was they would let you take the car. You just had to leave your license with them. And so he would give him, and he didn't have a car at the time, but he did have a driver's license. So we'd ride our bikes or whatever and ditch our bikes in the woods, walk in a car dealership, and he'd bullshit the sales guy about the car and be like, yeah, well, I think I want to test drive it. And so he'd give him his license, and we'd fucking joyride this car, just me and him from the dealership for like 2 hours. We'd put gas in it and stuff and bring it back to the dealer. They're like, where the fuck have you been? And we're like, we're test driving the car. We're not interested. And he'd get his license back and we'd leave. We did that a ton of times. Just literally, I mean, I don't know how that isn't stealing a car, but I mean, we basically stole the cars, joyrided them, and brought them back, and just that loophole of it being a test drive. So yeah, it was great. We'd run errands and shit. It was awesome. Being a kid in the 80s was dangerous and adventurous.
But was it fun?
Yes, very fun. Well, I mean, shit, we were professional wrestlers. I mean, come on.
Exactly. I mean,
we didn't get paid much, but technically that was my first job, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, that's always a fun little nugget to drop on somebody that you're like, oh, my first job was being a professional wrestler, like actually doing that. So, not a lot of people can say that.
It's like I joke with people, when guys talk about how old they were on their first date.
Yeah.
I tell them how old I was, and I'm called a liar, but it's the truth.
How old were you when you did your first match? Were you like 11?
No, I was actually 12.
Okay.
I think I'm just a hair older than you are.
Yeah, I was born. Excuse me. Valentine's Day, 1974.
Yep.
So February 14th.
I'm just 4 days shy of 4 months older than you.
Oh, okay. 73, baby.
Yep. You're actually exactly 1 year younger than my oldest nephew.
1 year. Wait, what?
My oldest nephew.
Your oldest nephew is 1 year older than me?
Yep.
Whoa. How old was your sister or brother when they had?
You know, I don't remember how old she was, but I'm the youngest by a lot.
Right.
Next to me is like 12 years older than I am.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so, I have an aunt. I have an aunt that's actually younger than me. My grandpa had a kid with his third wife, who's born after I was born. So yeah, I have an aunt that's younger than me.
My nephew always gives me crap. He's older. He's the one that should be the uncle. And I'm like, that's not how it works. Your mother is my sister. So.
That's great.
So do we have any other questions from
the gallery?
Well, I see one here that asks, did you ever stay friends with Sean after the NWF?
Yeah. Well, why don't I jump in quick? So when I joined the NWF, it was almost over, right? So like its heyday, I joined after the heyday, unfortunately. It's like the story of my life. I get into things after they're already on their way down. But so, you know, I wanted us to keep going. And but I think Sean was burned, you know, working with the older guys in the NCWA or whatever they were called. And so he was kind of over it. And so things kind of fell apart. And so, but you know, I really liked Sean. And so, yeah, I hung out with Sean a bunch, until, I eventually ended up moving in with my dad about 45 minutes away from where we lived. And so that's kind of when we lost touch.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I went on to do BMX and stuff. And, but right when I think maybe MySpace was the first time I got back in touch with Sean a little bit. And then, you know, Facebook, and we chatted over email. There was a point where he was living in Wisconsin and he asked me, he's like, hey, I'm thinking about doing like a reunion wrestling card with the NWF guys. Would you want to do it? And I think I was probably 27 or 28 at the time. I'm like, fuck yeah, just let me know, man. I'll fly to Wisconsin and have a match, you know, like I really, really wanted to do that, you know, have a match as an adult. But for whatever reason, it didn't pan out. And yeah, so so that's kind of my after NWF friendship with Sean in a nutshell.
Yep. And then,
Dave?
And then I reconnected with Sean after I left the NWF through Slick Steenerson, because I ran into Slick when we were both going to school at a kind of like a second chance school.
Mm-hmm.
And talked to Sean until he moved to Wisconsin, lost contact. And then through social media, we've talked, lost contact, lost contact.
Right.
And after I moved back to Minnesota, we reconnected and we've been talking ever since. And we kind of hashed out the idea of this podcast. And lo and behold, if Sean doesn't hear from me for a couple of days, I get a message. Are you in the hospital or something?
That's great. So after you moved back to Minnesota, was Sean still in Wisconsin, or was he in Utah or whatever?
No, he was already out in Utah.
Okay. Have you physically seen him since, like seen him in person?
No, actually, next month, Crusher is coming to the Twin Cities, and we're getting together.
Hey, nice. Does he still have family in Anoka?
I don't think Anoka, but he does still have family here in Minnesota, and
okay.
So we're going to get together, and as I've stated before on the show, alumni, if you're interested in a get together, Crusher's going to be here.
Nice.
So, and then Sean and I are in talks right now of, next year is the 40th anniversary of the start of the company.
Oh, wow.
And we've talked about wanting to do something.
So now we're going to do a reunion show?
Well, none of us are going to get in the ring. None of us are getting in the ring, mind you.
We could get in the ring. It'd just be a little slower,
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure my body would handle it.
Yeah, I know mine couldn't, but.
And even though my girlfriend's a wrestling fan, I'm not sure she'd appreciate me being in the ring too much.
I'm sure we can put sleepers, headlocks, and figure fours on each other still without too much trouble, right?
Lots of rest holds.
Well, yeah, lots of rest holds, yeah.
Okay, looks like we might have another comment. I got to double check here.
Yeah, don't smoke. No.
No, actually, a lot of guys have talked about how they learned video editing and business management and things like that from the NWF.
I know for me, because Sean kind of took me under his wing, and he brought me into the editing suite and showed me how all that stuff worked. And from there, I took those classes where we could check out a camera and stuff. And I did like a little public access show, like a little variety show where I just like do skits and shit. And so I had a little public access show that was super intermittent. It wasn't like a weekly show or anything like that. So, but yeah, video editing, which, I did a bit in my later life, in my professional life. But also, not anything necessarily tangible, like I learned how to, weld or whatever. But I did learn from Sean, just, from his example, how to kind of go out there and get what you want,
Exactly.
To talk to people, to talk on the phone professionally, to take yourself seriously, to expect other people, even people way older than you, to take you seriously, to try to get things done, whether it's getting a job or, like I said, I did BMX stuff later in life. And, so I was able to, help put on contests and jams and get sponsorships and all that sort of thing. And that was all just from seeing like the example of Sean, where even though I'm young, I expect you to take me seriously. And that's been a huge help throughout, to this day. As a 49-year-old man, I still leverage those values and examples that I learned from Sean as he was a fucking 15-year-old kid, and just learning that and still applying those things as a, almost 50-year-old man is pretty amazing.
I like the way you worded
better. What's that?
I like the way you worded everything there better. I was going to put it more simply, and it didn't sound as nice.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, you learn how to work people.
Yeah, but I think the downside of referring to it that way is it sounds like you're not genuine, you know what I mean? Or you're trying to scam people, but that's not what Sean did. That's not what we learned from him. But I mean, I guess, you know, we could definitely use those powers for evil, you know, and you know, use them in that way. But I don't know that any of us did, you know. I think Sean was such a God, we're talking about him like he's dead.
Well, it's just he's not here right now.
So. Yeah. No, I know. But I wonder if he's going to watch this and be like, Jesus, you guys. But, you know, I mean, all of us, so many young boys owe so much to Sean and his work and what he did for us and his examples and those examples that we've used later in life as you know, developing our own skill sets for being adults and you know, stand up members of society, like, you know. So yeah, I mean, this could definitely be the Sean Crossan Memorial episode, you know, where he's dead and we're saying all the nice things about him. But you know, I got to be honest about how I feel about Sean and how important of a person he was and what a great friend he was and how important he was in our lives, you know. So
yeah, I mean,
he's a great dude.
Yeah, I mean, plain and simply, you know, I honestly don't think you'll find anybody in the NWF that would say a negative thing.
No. Yeah, not a one. And, you know, and yeah, I spoke earlier about how I think that it was a shame that, you know, Sean couldn't, you know, go forward and blow up and be a big time famous wrestler. I almost think Sean's too good of a person to be in that industry, you know, from what I know about, you know, the little I know about it. Like, you know, because I think a lot of wrestling is putting yourself over, you know, your character and just looking out for number one. And Sean, you know, although, you know, Sean was the champion and all that stuff, but I mean, Sean was the fucking best of us, you know, and deserved to be the champion and all that stuff. But, you know, Sean spent a lot of time training us and coaching us on, you know, how to talk on camera, ad lib on camera, you know, like, so he spent a lot of effort raising us up, you know, not just himself. And I don't know that real wrestling is like that, where you spend a lot of time helping others. I think it's a lot of just helping yourself. And so I don't know that, I don't know if that would have been great for Sean, because he lifts all the boats, not just his own, you know, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So do we have anything else as far as questions?
My favorite color is transparent, if anyone's curious. People ask me why, and it's, if I see a girl in a dress, I would rather it be transparent than any other color.
All right, another question.
Ah, that's awesome. Gizmo, I'm glad to hear that. You should. He's great. And yeah, I feel sad for everyone that didn't get to be a part of this.
Okay, Gizmo, I've got a question for you. Was the show as good without Sean as it is with him here?
Wait, is Gizmo Sean, maybe?
No.
That would be brilliant.
I'm fairly certain Gizmo is not Sean, because Gizmo comments when Sean's on camera with him.
Ah, okay, gotcha. That would have been a good way to get us. It's like when you tell everyone you're dead, and then they all come over to your. What is it? I've seen that TV plot before, where you tell everyone you're dead, and then you hide out at the wake and listen to what people say about you. Yeah.
Yep. Sky Sports
I'm glad
Video.
so many people. I'm so glad everybody asked questions, and they were great questions. It was super fun stuff to talk about. I hope, you know, it wasn't boring. I hope it was interesting, at least.
I hope everybody had a good time.
Yeah. I mean, I know I did. I always do when I get to come on with you and Sean, or, you know, I had a good time with Sean too, but it was great to be on with you. Just you.
Exactly.
Too, so.
I mean, you know, it's always fun to reconnect with people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. I will be back next week. You know, we always say alumni are always welcome. So, you know, anytime
everybody get on the show. Yeah.
You know, anytime Jamie wants to jump on or any other NWF alum, we're open to it. So, but I think for this week, and if there's no more questions, I think we will bid you adieu, and we will see you next week. So I hope everybody has a great week. We'll see you then.
Thanks, everybody.